We have been to peer group in the past, but sorry I hadn't been able to make it. So I'm very excited to be able to participate this year. I've served on task force committees for several years, however, mostly on the Veterans Task Force. But this year I'm serving as chairman of the Travel Task Force. I really want to give a big shout out and a thank you to my committee this year. The bankers on the committee were Amber Thomas, Tammy Browning, Rob Callahan, Brenda Wright, Kelly Robert, and our PTO members were Jim Edwards from Colette and Sherry Gabara from Mayflower. Hope I didn't murder those names too much. The goal of our task force was to generate and implement ideas for promoting travel when it resumes in a COVID-19 world. When we started this task force last year, I was kind of hoping we'd be over COVID by now, but we're not. Each month when we met, things had changed from the previous month, and our presentation today has evolved right up until today, as you will hear. Travel experts and economic forecasters expect that travel will return with a high pent-up demand. I can attest to that fact because last week I had a travel show. We were socially distanced, but we were in person, and I had over 30 people to show up for that travel show. They called and said, we are doing the travel show, we're doing it in person, and I would say, yes, but I will have it on a Zoom for you. Oh, no, we will be there, we'll be there. So they were excited to be at that meeting, and they're excited to go national parks next fall. Most of this age group has had their vaccines by now. Some had had one, some had had two, and they're getting ready to go. We believe that we'll get it on the road again. Did you hear the music that Tina had for us? I was kind of hoping for that music, on the road again, in stages. We'll get it on the road in stages. As our groups receive their vaccines and they'll get a little more confidence in the travel, and of course, as more countries open up. Our task force will address some of the stages that we will see as we get back on the road again. Tammy?
All right. So the first thing that we're going to cover is virtual touring, and what is that? So with the tourism industry coming almost to a complete halt as a result of COVID, a need for other options became necessary. So virtual touring became one of those options, and it really is kind of a hybrid concept that combines the idea of virtual reality and touring without actually having to travel anywhere. It provides some experiences for our members and makes it possible for them to learn or tour without leaving home. And really, a virtual experience is essentially a human experience that makes use of technology, which we're doing now. This can range from watching a promotional video to an interactive museum experience, or even flying over the skies of Paris. And why would we want to do this? It gives us an opportunity to continue to engage our members during these unprecedented times, and in a very different way. We don't want our members to lose interest or lose that connection when we are unable to see each other in person. It gives them something to look forward to, especially if they're feeling isolated or alone during this time as well. And I personally have been finding the virtual events to be a great way to get to know my members a little bit better and engage members that maybe have not previously participated in the club. It's a way for us to ease our members into interacting with each other as their director and with the other members. It can also take the fear of social interaction out of the equation if you have members that are hesitant to join in. And I found that to be especially true with people that are fairly recently widowed, or just somebody that's a little more shy. So it's been a really great opportunity with that. And it's really been, for me personally, a great way to get my younger members involved, because they maybe don't want to come to a coffee because they feel like maybe that's for the older folks. But I've been really pleased with the response I've gotten with that. And a lot of our younger demographic are, working with different schedules now than they typically do, whether that be working from home or just working a different routine. It also gives our members an opportunity to try before they buy. They can see the exact ship that they'll be traveling on, or see the view from the cabin on that ship, for instance. And I think it excites our members for traveling in the future. Some examples of virtual events would be recorded or live streamed performances, whether it's dance, music, or theater, webinars that are specific to destinations that we're planning to travel. These types of virtual events are a great way to pique a member's interest in a location that they may not have even considered before. It's also a way to condense an experience to include only the highlights of that. You can even virtually visit an area that's inaccessible, someplace that you'd never be able to see because it's either cost prohibitive or the area is closed off to visitors. Interactive events such as book clubs, which is one that I've personally been doing and having some success with, cooking class, even a craft project, which we have done as well, or a guest speaker that can inspire them with a topic or story. And really the sky is the limit. So make sure you think outside the box. And many of you are asking, how do we create these activities and projects as we think outside the box? And our travel task force has planned a Zoom lesson on how you can include virtual touring with your bank club. And I believe that's you, Tina.
It is me. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that. So how do you Zoom? Now, you obviously know how to connect to a meeting that you've been invited to, but if you have never actually set up an account and hosted a meeting yourself, this is a quick lesson on that. And then I have a complete document with screenshots and everything saved on our conference homepage for you to access and read at your leisure. So you start at Zoom sign up page. It's zoom.us/signup. And then you activate your account when you receive an email, because they're going to send you an email, and then it'll have a little activate here button that you push, or activate account. And then you create your account name and password, any password you like. There's some requirements. I think it's 8 digits or 8 characters long and whatnot, but if you mess it up, it'll tell you that before you can proceed. So it's relatively easy to set up. Sign into your account on the web at zoom.us, or install the Zoom app, and that is available for download on the Zoom site. I have that link available to you in the document as well, or the path. And then you can set up your profile and customize your settings. There's a bunch of edit buttons all over the profile. Once you get into your account, there'll be a lot of different things that you can change as far as the settings go. And you can set your time zone and different things like that. So you can play around with your profile and customization settings. And then you schedule a meeting. And it's very simple. All over the page, there's regardless of whether you're using the web portal or the application, it's pretty obvious with big buttons that you schedule a meeting here. And then right away after you schedule the meeting, it'll bring up an invitation that you can send out to your members. There's multiple ways you can send a meeting invitation out to those who you're wanting to invite. And again, my thorough document has those details for you. And then you can try a test meeting. It provides you the option to go into a meeting that you're in by yourself, and allows you to play around with the settings and try out your camera and your sound and test those. Make sure you're not only hearing others, but you're being heard as well. And so that's really nice feature that Zoom provides to give you a chance to try it out before you actually get live with your invitees. And then you start your Zoom meeting. There's several ways again to start it, but it's usually a big start meeting button and very easy to control. And you're done. We are going to do some question and answer at the very end of our banking task force presentation. So if you have questions, you can either send them through the chat, or you can just wait and ask us live at the end of those presentations. So I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is for Brenda.
Hey, everybody. It's nice to see everybody. So another way of our traveling, besides virtual, is to explore what you have in your own community. And now's the time to maybe utilize what we have in our local communities, looking around to see what we have to offer. In some instances, examples would be like to go to the park and set up a bingo, you know, where you can have the picnic tables or the lawn chairs and bring whatever beverage you like and have a game of bingo out at the park, and enjoy a nice sunny day outside. And you could even then, you know, have them bring coffee or provide the coffee in the prepackaged a little snack for them. In our area, we have a wonderful trail system. So once the weather's changing, Allison and I have talked, you know, we need to start engaging in our people, as the vaccines, people are starting to get vaccinated. And maybe, you know, get out your bicycles and let's go on a bicycle ride on our trail system, or even grab a cup of coffee and let's go for a short walk and enjoy the scenery in our trail system. We also, in your community, maybe you have a small movie theater where people can drive to the movie theater, reserve it, work with a theater and have a movie, and people can social distance and have some precautions and enjoy a movie. Also, another example would be, you know, we have a golf course, you know, you can reserve the golf course and let's have a golf day. And so there's a lot of opportunities, and I think if we look at our community, it's time to utilize it, and it's a good way for people to get together, but still be safe, social distance. And it's a start and another way for us to get together with our people. So on to the next one, I think, is Amber.
Hello, everybody. Let's talk about our next phase of promoting travel today. We're going to talk about the ABCs. A, what is it? B is why do it? And C is the safety. So A is what do regional tours consist of? And we've added just a little bit to help you understand the suitcase plus the bed plus the dining and that type of thing. I think that's just a fun little visual for you to have, that kind of just is a big picture of what we're talking about today. So the short regional tours will consist of packing for possibly 1 or 2 nights, and that would be traveling somewhere nearby. Driving to the destination is probably the best case scenario for this type of travel. And it's very important to know that you can mix these stages up, just like Brenda just had talked with you, doing some of those local hood activities during these things, but they're at a little bit more socially, or I'm sorry, the surroundings are a little bit at a more distant community. But again, not too far so people feel confident that they can drive themselves. One thing to consider is that you will have to include more details in travel planning. Those will have multiple dining options to have to be keeping in mind as you are planning, along with the hotels that you'll have to be thinking about, making certain that they are following suit with the safety protocols and things like that too. Also to keep in mind, you'll have to do some planning for the maps and directions, and explaining for how people to change things up a little bit and how they're going to actually get to those destinations. So those things will have to be communicated, and it's really maybe another step in tour planning. Motor coaching is an option for this short regional tours. It's good to plan for 20 or less in order to keep the social distancing happening. And one thing to keep in mind with the motor coaching, unfortunately, you get a smaller group and your costs are most likely going to increase. So that is something to be considering as you price the tour and how you want to get to those destinations. So B is why do it? Well, as you can see on there, she's dreaming of all these places in her head, and everybody's dreaming of a vacation that they're hoping to go on in the near future. We want to get out of the house, get away, and spending time with others too. That's what our club members are dreaming of and exploring again. So now's the time to start planning those things, because they're starting to realize that it is possible for us to do that in safety in the small groups. And the one thing we want to first certainly do is to make our customers happy. They may find happiness in these small groups of 15 or 20. As you'll see, they're probably going to be a little more enjoyable for everyone, and they will also be much more easier to social distance, of course. We believe that the mindset of group travel is going to change. The fewer people on the tour, it's a little bit easier to plan something with a smaller group than it is for a larger group. So that is most likely, again, going to follow suit with probably a little bit more enjoyable tour. And then, hopefully we will get back to that for the traditional larger groups in the future of that 40 or 50 people. So our goal is to get club members engaged in club activities again, reintroduce themselves to new adventures. And I think that it's the most important here to have happy club members, which is going to equal confidence in the bank club if we keep our people happy, make them happy. The C for our ABCs is beginning with safety for the short regional trips. It's important to begin your safety precautions at the minimum actions for the local area that you're visiting. Those safety protocols are going to keep you as safe as possible. So again, the minimum, let's just start planning with the minimum, and everybody, I think, will feel more comfortable that they know that you're trying to be as cautious as possible. One thing to consider, because you will be adding hotel stays to this, that the hotels are starting to have different ways of going about things. They are also, if you're staying for more than one night, the housekeeping is suspended somewhat to keep the contact with the guests and their belongings at a minimum. They are actually taking and replacing the requested linens, so they're picking them up outside the rooms, and they're also then leaving the replacements that you have requested, leaving them outside of the room so you can take them into the room on your own, which is going to be kind of interesting. I have some questions myself about how that's going to work, but I'm certain that the hotels are on that and that they're taking care of that for you. The hotels are switching some things up in the check-in, and many hotels are using smartphones to deliver the key passes. Again, this is to eliminate the touch points. Also, we'll find in the hotels that there's not going to be things sitting on the tables to look pretty, and maybe a menu, or even probably not even a notepad or pen, that type of thing. All of those things are going to be out of the rooms again to eliminate those touch points. So things will look a little bit different for us, but we'll be able to get those necessities that we need. Also, keep in mind that the fitness rooms and swimming pools have been closed, or they're very limited in the use. Of course, the limited in the amount of people maybe will be something possibly with the fitness. I know my husband heard me practicing, and he heard that, and he was not happy to hear that. So many people are going to see some major changes once we actually get moving forward. But that doesn't mean they can't go outside and take a walk, or take a run or something on their own. So just might be something to keep in mind. Dining has changed also in these hotels. The self-service breakfasts have been eliminated for the most part. It's a possibility that you can have a menu to take an order. Or there could be a buffet, and then there will be a server behind the buffet that will be saying, do you want eggs? Do you want, bacon, and they will actually place that food on the plate or tray for you, and then hand it over to you to keep you, to keep again the germs to a minimum. Masks are going to be required in all of these dining areas, the guests and the staff as well. And that is going to be at all times. So obviously, if you're sitting and having your meal, you don't have to wear your mask. But if you were to get up for something, to use the restroom, or for any reason, your mask needs to go back on. That's going to keep everyone feel safer, just because they're going to see the masks on at all times in these dining facilities. So things are going to change a little bit in that. Fashion and also seating is going to make a difference. They've been redesigned to have more spaces in between the tables, which of course limits the amount of guests that are in those dining areas. One thing too to keep in mind for this is you might want to schedule that in the itinerary for the day. Say if it's breakfast, that you want to give more time to actually have your breakfast. Many of you know that sometimes breakfast is the most busy time anyway in hotels, and I believe it'll probably be even a little bit more busy. I'm sure they're trying to streamline them as much as possible, but it's something to keep in mind as you're planning your tours. So the safety continued is motor coaching is a possibility, as we had mentioned, that becomes kind of tricky. They represent the place where the customers spend long periods of time, and you consider that to kind of be your indoor space. So to that, we all are feeling that, wow, it just really makes a difference on how many people you can put on a motor coach. So it does complicate things. So they are sensitive places that we need to take most of our safety precautions on those motor coaches. Masks should be worn at all times, and that includes the guests, the tour managers, the drivers, and our step-on guides. That is while the coach is occupied with guests, of course. Hand sanitizers will be available to use, and also required once you enter or board the motor coach. And the experience on the coaches are going to be very different. Social pods will be something that will be created to allow family members to sit near each other. It also will give space to the guests that are traveling individually to separate from others. So kind of like our little social distancing bus, you can see the empty space in between. Those are the things you're going to see on a motor coach tour for a while anyway, until we become a little more comfortable. The club director and tour managers will probably not walk up and down the aisles. I know that's very difficult for many of us. It's our way to connect with people. I know that many of the club directors don't even sit in the front, they sit in the back or in between, so they can become more social. And that is something that most likely is going to change, and that's to keep people safer, to keep the germs in your own space, basically. So seat rotations, if there is going to be seat rotation, they will be at the beginning of the day. And then you'll be boarding a socially or a sanitized motor coach. We've been told the motor coaches are going to be sanitized on a daily basis. And so it will be at a clean coach that you will go to your seat rotation that day. And possibly seat assignments would be prearranged, something to keep in mind too as you travel. You know how you have your own little pods that needs to be communicated with your tour operator as well, to make sure that those pods can stay together and move and be in those prearranged seating destinations. So hopefully through all of this, operating the small groups of 20 to 25 guests maximum, will be the norm, only until the vaccines become more widely distributed to create a safe return to our normal size groups of 40 to 50 people. And it was encouraging to hear Jim talk about that already, that he's starting to see that. I know that's fantastic news for all of us to hear. So, well, and of course, jumping into that, then we look forward to the next stage, which is the distant destinations.
Thank you, Amber. You know, all of the PTOs are committed to the safety, health, and well-being of your travelers. So that is first and foremost. I mean, our commitment, the PTO's commitment to the travelers remains as solid as ever. So we've all sort of created our own programs. You know, at Mayflower, it is the Travel with Confidence program. And we're at stage 4. You know, hopefully, as you've heard the task force talk about the various stages, maybe you are already at stage 4. Maybe in your area, you're at stage 1, but these are some great ideas that are ever changing. So, you know, following those areas, of course, we're going to make sure as you begin your domestic motor coach tours, we realize that at this point, there's a lot of international travel destinations that the U.S. traveler cannot, you know, are not being accepted into at this point. So maybe you'll start with some domestic motor coach tours. Maybe you'll be flying into a destination before you're finally able to get onto those small ship cruises or those large ship cruising. Jim?
Thank you, Sherry. And just to remind everybody, we did restart stage 4 last July and operated air tours. So all those trips that we offered from July through December included airfare. So everybody took advantage of the extra cleaning and the face coverings. All of our airline partners, as well as motor coach partners, used electrostatic cleaning from the floor to the ceiling, including lavatories. So everything was super clean. Face coverings were issued. We did maintain social distancing. And again, just remind, when we operated the tours last year, it was on a 55 passenger motor coach, and we had a maximum of 26 passengers. So we did maintain 50%. Again, as we restart again in April, and only in April because there's not a whole lot of US destinations you can travel to, January, February, March. So heavy April season. When we restart, these protocols might still be in place. Particularly, we may see face coverings go on for a while. We may see the capacities change a little bit. You may see the requirements again being different in different states, different countries for sure. There is actual travel going on right now in Europe. Mm-hmm. Just so everybody knows, Costa Cruise Lines is cruising around Italy. MSC is cruising around Italy. There are some operators, some cruise lines that are stating that they're going to be back on the waters at the end of March. I think American Cruises has said that they're going to be starting late March. Some have said May. I think you're going to see land packages first, obviously. People are going to have a little more confidence to travel in groups of 20 and even 30 and 40 before they get on a ship with 150 to 3,000. So again, just to remind everybody that we've already been in stage 4 since last July in a lot of situations in the United States. And you're going to hear firsthand from one of our guides, Mark Godin, on Wednesday, that's going to really talk to you about the protocols that we're adhered to in the hotels, motor coaches, restaurants. So you're going to hear it firsthand.
Right. And, you know, here at Mayflower, we've got our first, after 1 year of not traveling, we've got our first trips going out in March domestically, of course. And knowing that we are doing that social distancing, we've got a group of 40 and we're breaking them up into 2 motor coaches. making sure that our motor coach partners are keeping the coaches clean, calling ahead to all the attractions, working as you all get to stage 4 of this traveling. You've got your preferred tour operators who are taking on all the responsibility to work with the airlines, to work with the hotels, to work with the attractions, to have the tour manager, to provide the groups with a clean packet to disinfect and protect them while they're traveling. So knowing that you can put that responsibility onto your partners to make sure that all the CDC guidelines are being followed, as well as you have that added protection with a lot of our travel insurance and our protection with our companies. You can travel with a lot of safety in mind and just be there as the host to your club as you do so well. So we look forward to having everybody back out traveling again.
And just to piggyback off what Sherry said, you can definitely trust the PTOs, all the partners that are with you here. We've been thoroughly vetted, long-term partners. You can trust us to really be in tune with all the protocols and guidelines that are needed. And we're definitely going to be nimble. We're going to make adjustments as we need to. It is an operational challenge. And you're going to hear from Jeff Roy on Thursday talking about those challenges operationally, but we're prepared for it and we've gone through it. So again, we appreciate your trust and support, and you can certainly trust us.
Okay, well, not to call Jim and Sherry horses, but you have heard it from the horse's mouth. So the PTOs are taking all the worry out of the travel for you, and you can rest easy. And then the bank should be taking the worry out of the travel for its members. And your members trust the bank. They trust you. I think you're going to be surprised how easy it is to get them on board here. And we have additional resources. Everything that you saw here, or these slides at least, and some additional resources are on the website. They're all easy to find. You can just get in and poke around when you have a minute. Any?
Transitioning, sorry, and it stopped recording. I don't know how to do that. There we
We
go.
have a few minutes before the banking task